of Inside the Arena. Today, inside the arena, we have a very distinguished Nigerian who has caught her niche in the engineering and the ICT world. And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because it's going to be a bumper section. It's my pleasure to welcome inside the arena a very delectable and very distinguished Napa Onwusah. Napa, you are welcome here again.
I should say Happy New Year. I don't think we've spoken in 2025 yet.
Sorry, I think we lost that due to... Napa, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
All right, sorry, we...
Yeah, Auntie Lizzie. Yes, have fun. Are you okay? Okay. Enjoy yourself. You want to?
I'm trying. We don't have choice than to enjoy.
Yes, thank God, man. So now how's everything?
I don't know whether it's from my side or... Can you hear me now, Napa?
I can hear you. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, great. So I think we're back on.
As I was saying, we have 3 segments of this program. One is what we call the direct free kick. If you are familiar and conversant with football, you know that these are football terms because you are inside the arena. And the direct free kick segment is when the questions are directed to you by the host and you respond to the questions. And then after that, we go to the corner kick segment where the participants will also have the opportunity to ask questions. And then we go to what we call the extra time. And the extra time is a time where the participants are also put on the hot seat. They are asked questions about the guest. And the first person to answer the question is going to be going home with a prize. I will not announce the prize today. Somebody is giving out the prize on behalf of our guests. But know that somebody is going to be going home with a very beautiful prize today. So going straight to the question the arena. In a nutshell, can you tell us about who is Napa Onwusah? Can you share your background, your academic background?
Okay.
This.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction and hello everyone. Hope we're having a
We
great
can't hear
day.
you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Right. Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. I hope everybody else can hear me. I don't know if you can just share an emoji so we know we're not talking to text on the screen because a lot of cameras are off. Oh, thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you, Nkinye Ikechukwu. Thank you. So hello everyone, my name is Napa Onwusah. Like I like to say, my name is not Nepa. I don't take light where I go. I've actually been in technology for 20 something years. I studied computer engineering as my first degree from Enugu State University. And I've been very fortunate to work in some amazing organizations like Google, like Microsoft, Visa. There are quite a number. And throughout my time, I've led high performing sales teams. And all that experience has kind of let me know that one of the things that I love doing is helping businesses restructure for growth. And that is what I I focus my time on now. So I'm a managing partner with two firms. The first one is B4B, and this is where we help businesses turn around their sales engines. Basically, what it means is if your business is not making money, we help you find out why, and then we fix it for you. And then the second one is Plastic Code Labs. So there are lots of people that have amazing tech ideas, but because they don't know how to code, it's very challenging for them to build out that software. So Plastic Code Labs is where non-tech founders can feel very safe to build out what their dreams are made of. So yeah, Engineer Ben, that's me in a nutshell. And I just want to say thank you again for inviting me to this amazing community of people. I'm not sure if I was still audible or did we lose Engineer Ben? Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, my network went off, and I don't know why it's keeps going on. Now, I want you to, what inspired you to pursue a degree in computer engineering? And how did the educational experience across different countries shift your perspective?
Yeah, so it was a very funny story. I mean, I know people say I don't look my age, but as of the time I started interacting with computers, I don't know how many of us remember floppy drives. Are we old enough to remember floppy drives? That was the first computer I worked with. We didn't have GUI interface. That means graphical user interface. It was the dark green screen with the light green text on top of it, for those of you that remember. And I was in grade school in San Francisco. And then people didn't have laptops like we have now. So we would have the computer room in our classroom, and not every school had a computer classroom. And I walked into the classroom, and that was the first time I saw a computer. I was around 12, no, I was around 11. And they put it in front of me. It was my time on the computer. And in that short period of time, I printed documents and I actually did stuff on the computer. And the instructor comes up to me and he's like, "Do you have a computer at home?" And I said, "No."
Your audio.
Can you hear me now? Is it back?
I can hear you now.
Oh,
Yes, back.
great. So, yeah, like I was saying, so once I met computers for the first time when I was 11, when it was time to go to university, we weren't in Nigeria, but my father had insisted that all his daughters go to school in Nigeria. Now, my mother wanted me to study law. Um, Engineer Ibrahim, I don't know if the audio is back on because you're saying it's on and off. Is it on now?
He's back. He's back.
Oh, okay, great. So when it was time to fill my JAM form, for those of you that I haven't met, I'm actually a devout, whichever way you pronounce it, Christian. And I prayed to God and I said, God, please make a way for me to be able to fill in my JAM form computer engineering and not law. And as of that time, people felt computers were just a fad. They didn't think it would take on. Our servers were these huge mainframes, not like what we have now as well. And the week I was filling my JAM form, my mom traveled to the UK. So I filled my form and I put computer engineering as my first choice, computer engineering as my second choice, and then I put law as my third choice. And I gave it to my father, and I knew my father wouldn't check, and he didn't. And that is how I studied computer engineering. And my mother still hasn't forgiven me to this day. So she still reminds my daughter, your mother escaped. She was supposed to study law. Yeah, but that's how I started studying engineering, computer engineering.
What were your biggest challenges as a young woman entering the male-dominated tech industry?
The biggest challenge was, I have to be very transparent. It was the amount of harassment young women received at that time. It was male dominated. Not only was it male dominated, there weren't as many programs as we have now around women that have been in tech, being able to support younger women. So very grateful that the landscape has changed a lot. We see a lot of senior female leaders that have mentoring programs. They have coaching programs that can help younger women. The other thing was not only when I was working, even in class, I think we were like 4 girls in the whole department. So being encouraged as a young woman to study these kind of courses was not also very common at that time. But nowadays, you also see a lot of foundations that are positioning STEM for young women. So yeah, we've come along. We've really come a long way. And sometimes when I look at female engineers or female product managers or female developers or UI UX designers, I'm really so happy that now being female and being in tech is not even seen as a big thing anymore.
Now, you did a program in Harvard on women in leadership. Can you share with us how that program has the impact it has on your leadership style and career journey?
I was actually hesitant to do the program because I believed that a leader is a leader, whether you're female or male. I think one of the great things with that program, it acknowledged some of the challenges female leaders do have. So there was a time that I was leading a team and 2 of the men in my team were older than me. They were Nigerian and one was an Igbo man. So if you're Nigerian here and you're Igbo, you can appreciate maybe what I went through when the man that was reporting to me, his children were almost entering university and mine was still babies. And I started early, so I was considerably younger than him. So being able to understand the nuances that come with being a woman in leadership, and then making sure that you remain authentic, that you do not try and become like a man, but you actually look for the skills and abilities that make you amazing, and then leveraging that. So even though I was very hesitant to do the course, now I'm so grateful because it really made me see leading as a female in a very different light. And it gave me quite a number of tools that I still use till today.
Fantastic. Now, how do you balance your Nigerian heritage with your global experiences in your approach to leadership and business?
Oh, you mean how I show up as a Nigerian?
How do you balance your heritage, Nigerian heritage, with your global experiences
I
in
see,
your
I see.
approach to leadership and business?
I tell people that if you cut me, I will bleed green, that my blood is green. So I was either the only Black person in the room, or I'll be the only Black female in the room, or I'll be the only Nigerian. There was always an only somewhere there. But I don't know how to remove being Nigerian from who I am, because I'm just so proud of being a Nigerian. And I know that's not a sentiment a lot of people share. But I believe my Nigerian blood is what has made me so resilient and so creative and so innovative. Yeah. It has made me strong. And on top of that, I'm very proudly Igbo as well. Because for Igbo people, there's a place we put work ethic and hard work. So I really am grateful that I was born in the culture I was born in. I'm born in the country I was born in because it really shaped me. I think maybe the global experiences, it just let me know how fortunate we are to have the values Nigerians have, actually, as a country, as a nation, the way we help each other, the way we build in community. So yeah, I try to make sure that I'm always authentic to my country, where no matter where I show up.
You have worked with leading global companies like Amazon, Google, Visa. What has been the most defining moment of your corporate career so far?
There've been quite a number. Like I said, there are lots of firsts. Either the first female manager at Google, the first Black leader at Google Africa for GCS, the first Black female leader for AWS for Africa, Middle East. So I have had quite a number of highs, for which I'm so grateful to God for. I would think that the defining moments are too many to count. But with each opportunity that I've been given, I'm always looking for what can I learn from this opportunity? And most importantly, what legacy can I leave behind? So one of the things that I am very grateful for is that for every business I've built, in every company I've worked for, the businesses are still thriving. And as much as I'll attribute it to my leadership, I'll also attribute it to the amazing teams I've had the fortune to lead. So yeah, too many to count, but grateful for each and every one of them.
What strategies did you implement in AWS, that's Amazon Web Service and Google, that contributed to the remarkable growth figures and in those roles?
Okay,
I said, so what strategies did you implement in these two organizations that contributed to remarkable growth and achievements you recorded in those roles?
Yeah, so there are quite a number of strategies. So I don't know how many of us here have businesses that maybe you want them to grow in terms of revenue. There is something I would kind of recommend that you look at, and it's called a sales playbook. A sales playbook is a template. There are many different types of it, but basically it's a template for you to understand what strategies you need to put in place to accelerate your revenue. There are many
playbook.
Yeah, a sales playbook. Engineer Ben, I can send you. I have one I use. I can share it with the community. Right. So what you do is the same way. I don't know how many of you, when you put on your car, if you hear a noise, you don't assume you know what the problem is, right? You would kind of check what could be causing the problem, why my engine is is making noise. It's the same thing with sales. We call it a sales engine. A sales engine is how do you make sure that your business is constantly producing revenue, just like a car engine. And what is the manual for your sales engine is your sales playbook. So when you have a business that's either your own or a business that you brought in to fix, because this is why people hire me. I'm hired to either establish a business, grow a business, or fix a business. If you bring me to run a business that's going well, then really my skills are not being put to good use. So you diagnose what the problem is. You look at the people that run the engine, which is the salespeople. You look at the passengers in the car, which is your customers. You look at your sales tactics. You look at your sales tools. And then once you identify maybe a problem, you now run a sales experiment to fix it. So let's say, for example, your conversion rate, which is really the amount of leads or the people that say they want to buy your products. From that number of people that say they want to buy your product and the people that actually buy, that's your conversion ratio. So let's say 100 people say they want to buy your product, but only 10 people buy. That means your conversion ratio is 10%. We would now first understand in your industry, is that a normal amount? So maybe in your industry, most of your competition or your peers are converted at 90%. Oh, then we know that that's a problem. We now need to figure out why. Once we figure out the why, we now fix that problem and we may discover another one. So this is why I say that sales is a science. Being able to have well-performing, well-run businesses is a science, but you have to understand the science. And this is where experience comes into play, because I've run so many businesses. I'm able to come in and look at the sales engine, build out a playbook that can support the engine, make sure the right people are in the right places. You may have an excellent salesperson, but the person hasn't been trained, coached, or supported. You need to fix that. And then by the time you continue to fix your sales engine, it will just keep running better and better and better, and then your business will start growing.
And you mentioned that you've run so many businesses and you've also worked in so many multinationals. Now, how do you build and sustain high-performing teams across these diverse multinationals who you've come across?
Okay, so sorry, you broke a bit. You're asking me how to build high-performing teams.
How do you sustain high-performing teams? High-performing teams across,
Okay.
You've worked in Africa, you've worked across the world, and you meet different people, different cultures, different, religion, different everything. So how do you still, with all these diversities, build and sustain high-performing teams in all these places you've worked?
Okay, so there are quite a number of things. The first thing is you have to really be a very strong leader. And strong leadership, there are a number of pillars to it. But how I lead is I lead with an understanding of my strengths and my weaknesses. And sometimes people feel that leadership is about shouting at people. No, actually, as a leader, your primary job is to make sure you create an atmosphere or a culture where everybody in your team can thrive and you understand how to motivate each person. So there are various people in my team that are motivated by different things. Somebody can be motivated by bonuses. Somebody can be motivated by complex work. This is where strong leadership comes to play. The second thing is making sure that you're communicating openly and transparently. Now, when you're dealing with different cultures, there's some things you will say as a Nigerian that's very acceptable, but if you say it to somebody that is British with Indian ancestry, it's completely different, right?
Yes.
And that is a nuance that people won't think of, because they say, I won't call that person Indian because the person may not say they're Indian, they may say they're British. So you have to know that. Now, the only way you can't know all the nuances of different cultures. So you have to create an atmosphere where people feel they can give you feedback. So you do it. There's a framework I use. It's called 2x2. So I'll say, what are the 2 things you think I'm doing well? What are the 2 things you think I can improve? This helps them to be able to say, look, Napa, when you say this, this is how it comes across. And you'll be like, oh, thank you for sharing that with me. And that is how you continue to improve how you communicate in different cultures. And then another thing is making sure that you do not, in your insecurity as a leader, start promoting the wrong behaviors in your team. I see this again. Some people have the idea that you have people in your team that will be giving you inside gist. Yeah, there's some people that can give you insights into the team, and you can't do that as a leader. You can call 3 people and say, look, I really want to get an understanding of this topic. Can you give me the information? But you cannot create an atmosphere where people start to feel that they need to have your ear, or you will now create a political environment. Exactly. And that is where that strength comes in, knowing that you are able to lead effectively from the front without having to build political structures. Because once you build a political structure, that political structure will dethrone you. You're thinking you're doing it to build yourself, but actually you're going to have problems. There are quite a number of other things, making sure you understand the strengths of your team, you put them in the right positions, making sure that there's collaboration within the team, fixing issues as soon as possible. If you know somebody's not doing well, put them on a performance improvement plan and give them the coaching and support they need to improve. And if they don't improve, they may be doing better in another role. Don't keep dead weight, because that impacts how the rest of your team presents. Effective conflict resolution, make sure you're able to have the skill to mediate between people in the team. Yeah, you can go on and on and on, but there are quite a number of things you do to make sure that you really have a high-performing team, especially when you have different cultures, different ages, different genders across the board.
Inside the arena, a very distinguished Nigerian, a graduate of computer engineering. Enugu State University of Science and Technology is one of the best universities. We always say the best universities east of the Niger. The first University of Science and Technology in Nigeria and the first state-owned university in Nigeria, Napa, Onwusah. Still inside the arena. Let me ask you this one, because I think we have to go there. What motivated you to transition from working in global corporations to launching your own businesses?
Yeah, I just felt it was time. I had been planning it for some time, and I wanted to try it. I think it's as simple as that. But people will tell you, why work for someone else when you can work for yourself? All those kind of things. I always say that it depends on where you are in your career, where you are in the point of your life, because someone may try and do what I did and not have the success I have had, or so I could try and do what somebody else has done and not be successful. So it took a while for me to plan. It took a while for me to prepare. There were a couple of things I wanted to make sure I had achieved before I left. I was able to achieve them by the grace of God. And I really wanted to do a lot of interesting things and own my time and build some businesses, some ideas I had. And I just know I knew I needed more time, because for those of you in leadership, the higher you go, the less time you have. You do more and more work. And I just wanted some time. Would never say never. You may find me back at a Google in a year, who knows? But for now, I'm really enjoying the journey.
Can you tell us more about what we are doing now, particularly Build for Balance and also Placid Code Labs? Share some insights about these two organizations.
Yeah, so Placid Code Labs helps non-tech founders build tech products. That's it in a nutshell. So I don't know how many of you have tried to build a platform, or you've tried to build a tech product and the developer has kept you on red for months. You've taken money and they haven't been able to deliver. So I had that experience quite a number of times. And I met some amazing partners, and we deliver products like this. We get you your first version of your product within 6 weeks. And then we build alongside you. So as you are seeing the product we are building, we have done over 10 projects already. We are less than 7 months old, so that's really amazing. And that's a very exciting part because I know it's something that is needed. Now, Built for Balance, like I said, one of the things is you can give me a business and I will fix it. And I really, really love working with companies and business owners to be able to help them fix their sales and revenue engines. So that's what B4B does. We have, we've done work with some public sector agencies, we've done work with some banks, and we've done work with some startups, as well as some medium businesses as well. So it's been very interesting. We do it through training, sales. If the organizations want to train their sales teams, we can train them. We also have acceleration programs where we come in for like 3 months and work with your pipeline or fix your lead generation and all of that. So yeah, both of them very interesting, very exciting so far.
So you've touched the area. I wanted to ask you before you touch this area. I wanted to ask you, what key advice would you give to tech founders looking to scale their idea into successful businesses?
Okay, so let me start by saying there are 3 phases you should think of, right? The first phase as a tech founder is you're trying to see if your idea makes sense. This is where you're looking for product market fit, which is, I'm sure most of you already know the term, is where you're trying to see if there are enough people that like your product or need your product enough to pay for it or to use it. And then once you get past that and you've gotten a certain number of customers, and we measure customers by the type of business you have. So if it's a B2B, business to business business, maybe you want to acquire your first 10 customers or your first 100. But if it's a B2C, a business to customers, it may be like maybe your first 1,000, but you've now kind of tested it, people want your product. The next thing you need to do is to grow your business. So a lot of people then start thinking, I've gotten 5 customers or 10 or 100 or 1,000 customers in Nigeria. Let me launch in Kenya. Just hold on a bit. Let's grow your business. This is where we want to bring some efficiencies into your sales engine to see how can we increase sales without increasing effort. Are we seeing feedback from customers? They say they want this service, they want that feature. Let's grow your business. And then once it's grown to a certain level, you understand your customer deeply, then you can start thinking of scaling. And scaling is usually when you're going to a new market, a new customer segment, a new country. So think of MoneyPoint, for example. MoneyPoint is a unicorn, meaning it's valued at $1 billion or more. They haven't scaled outside Nigeria yet, and I know there are plans for it, but they have such a deep understanding of the market because they grew in Nigeria. And you can see the blue POS everywhere you go, because they understand how to do agency banking, offline banking. They've invested in that. So what I would say is, first, grow your business very well, understand your customers very well, and then all those learnings, you can now start thinking of scaling, maybe adding another vertical, adding another country, because you would know enough to be able to use that experience and that knowledge to now move to another market segment.
Okay. Now, in your experience, what is the biggest challenge female leaders face in today's business world, and how can they overcome them?
It's just so different woman to woman. But what I would say is, one of the things I've noticed, we all know the normal issues of perception, people thinking female leaders are not strong leaders, or people thinking that female leaders are not able to step up. I'm very happy we're seeing women like Mrs. Awoshika. We're seeing women like Mo Abdul. I hope, forgive me if I didn't use her name correctly, but there are quite a number of very strong female leaders. And of course, the mentor I have in my head, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, that I admire so much from afar. I think sometimes I would like female leaders to become more vocal, become more open to networking. I find that when I'm in spaces with my male counterparts, my male peers, I would probably have more networking opportunities with them than I have with my female peers. So there still needs to be a little bit of mentoring to help us be very comfortable in our roles so that you know that you're not struggling with imposter syndrome and you're able to break out. The second area I would say is being able to support each other. So we're seeing a lot of programs where women that are ahead are trying to bring other younger women alongside them. WIMBIZ is doing a great job there as well. So I think that is something that helps. And I have been one of the female leaders that has benefited a lot from male champions, men in the organization that was significantly higher than me that decided to be my sponsor in the organization as well. So that always helps when you have men that are actively also looking for a young female talent that they can support and help up in the organization as well. Yeah, so I think those are the things that readily come to mind.
You mentioned Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as one of the mentors you had met. Now, talking about mentorship, I want to know what role does mentorship play in your career and how do you actively mentor the next generation of African leaders?
Okay, so I believe that regardless of your gender, you should have three key groups of people. You should have coaches, mentors, and sponsors. So your coaches are people that are able to help you work through very challenging topics in your career. So maybe you are having a difficult report, somebody that reports to you that you're finding it challenging to kind of manage their performance. A coach is very great here. It can help you. Or if you want to unpack feedback, people are giving you feedback in a certain area, a coach can help you there. These are good people to have. A mentor is somebody that may not necessarily help you solve the problem, but has been where you are. So they're able to share with you, this is how I did it. This is how I went through what I went through. And if you can learn anything from it, that's fine. So this is great. But there's a certain level of leadership you want to attain, not only leadership in career, but even in business, you need sponsors. And sponsors are the people that have access to the rooms that you do not have access to. These are the ones that call your name when you're not there. Now, when you have a sponsor, your sponsor has to be aware of your work. And this is where I advise some training around self-advocacy and self-promotion. You need to build the skill of how to promote yourself in a way that feels very authentic. So when you meet a potential sponsor, you are able to share the work you're doing. Another great way to get a sponsor on board is to be part of projects they're involved in. So if you look at charity projects, most times you see somebody that is very senior in a charity or an NGO project that you can join and you have access to the person as well. So in what I call your advisory board, you should have your coaches, your mentors, and your sponsors. There are other roles that are inside there, your supporters, your cheerleaders. You even have your enemies, because they can help you from the village as well to kind of keep you going. So just have a right mix. Now, mentorship is great, but you have to always ask yourself, for the next phase of your life, what do you need the most? So right now, in the point of my career that I'm in, it's not really mentorship I am looking for, it's sponsorship. So you need to be aware of what you need. So as much as mentorship is something we talk about a lot, I always want to balance it to say there are many other roles you need to be able to move to the next phase or the next level of your life and to balance it very well across board. So to your point of what I do to mentor the next generation is for Built for Balance, we have a community, and every month we do a training. We have a lot of resources. In fact, Engineer Ben, the resource I said I was going to share with you, it is from Built for Balance. And our motto is build the life you want from what you already have. And what that means is wherever you are in your life today, You may have money, you may not have money, you may have connections, you may not have connections. Let us look at the point you are today, and then what you can do intentionally every day to move your life forward to the next level. So that's exactly what we do with that program. And Engineer Ikechukwu, you said why enemies to the village? It's because people always say my village people are chasing me. I do not know why, because me, I love my village. I go to my village every 3 months. So I don't know what our village people did to us in Nigeria.
All right, we are winding it down. Let me also take you through this. It's going to be 2 questions in one. You will tell us about the Luminary project and what impact you've seen so far. Then, through the Jeremiah Foundation, you have supported over 450 at-risk children. What has been the most fulfilling part of this initiative?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question, Engineer Ben, because it's something that is so close to my heart. So we started the Jeremiah project to give scholarships to students. We're giving about 400 a year. We'll give uniforms, textbooks, exercise books. One story stands out. There was one of our children that she came from a really low income family, and she had never had a textbook. She was in SS1. And she got her textbooks, and she graduated and went to university. And when she was going, she met us and she was telling us that whenever they asked her any questions in class, she wouldn't be able to answer because she didn't have textbooks, she didn't have exercise books. And that in SS2, she became the prefect of her class. And then because she was able to read, she passed JAM. And now I think she's in her 3rd year of university, about to graduate. Now, the person she's going to marry, if she does get married, is going to be different. The way she raises her children is going to be different just because of education and exposure. So knowing that something that small can make such a huge difference in not only the destiny of one person, but many people, is the reason why we moved from Jeremiah Foundation to Luminary Project. Because when I was running a Jeremiah Foundation, I was struggling. It was so hard to raise funds. It was so hard to get support. So I was using my money and then my family's money, my friends' money. So what we do in the Luminary Project is every year we open up nominations to the public. Nominations are open now. And we say, is there somebody in your community that you know that maybe feeds children, supports old people, helps girls with maybe sanitary items, somebody you know that's doing something for the community at that level that may not have the access to maybe Tony Lumilu Foundation, nominate the person. And what we do is we, through judging, rigorous process to make sure that all the the organizations are credible, we choose our top 20, and we work with the top 20 for a year. During that year, we give you funding, we give you support, and then we also open doors for you. Now, last year, our winner was Project Grey, and she helps elderly people. She feeds elderly people and trains people on how to take care of them. Because of the exposure, she has gotten so much funding and so many opportunities, and that's exactly what we want to do. So now we're looking for our next top 20 that we can incubate. Last year, total funding we gave was about 3 million naira, and we're moving it up to 15. I'm really hoping there will come a day where we'll be able to inject as much as 100 million in. So if you do want to nominate, please, nominations are very important. I'll drop the link in I hope this is the right link, Luminary Award. The link, and then you can also donate if you want to, but we do want to make sure that the people that this is passion for them are getting the support that they need to kind of amplify their work.
Right. Before I ask you the final question, how do you balance your corporate and entrepreneurial pursuit with family?
Yeah, okay. So for those of us on the call, male and female, it can be challenging, Engineer Ben, and I know maybe you struggled with this. And before, I used to try and balance my life. I would start with my day job, and then when my day job is over, but again, the more responsibility, the less personal time you have. I would then move to my entrepreneurial job. So what I do now is I integrate my life. My life is one thing. So like my Christian faith is not apart from my career. My career is not apart from my entrepreneurial work. I integrate. And then I build systems within that integration. So I'm a highly productive person. There's some things that I'm very particular about: my time with my family, my time to invest in growing spiritually. And then there are other things that if I don't get 100% right, it's still fine. So having that growth mindset to know it's progress over perfection and putting the right systems in place. So for example, Engineer Osi, I don't know if you remember when we were supposed to schedule this session, I was like, block my calendar. Because once it's in my calendar, I don't need to think too much. I just open my calendar. That in itself is a system that makes me a more productive person. So yeah, just in response to that, number one, integrate your whole life. Don't see different parts of your life as separate. The second thing is build the right systems in place that can take care of some of the work for you. AI does a lot of work for me. And then the third thing is to make sure that you know it's okay not to be perfect. Progress over perfection at all times, and just keep at it and make sure you enjoy your life as well. So have some nice hobbies, have some things you enjoy to do, so you can actually have a great time as you're working hard.
I didn't ask that, but since you mentioned that, let me ask you a question on that. You know, when I was chairman of the Nigerian Site of Engineers, Abuja, on 2 different occasions, we had you. One, you presented a paper during a public lecture, one of our public lectures. And then after that, I brought to you a request to train our young engineers in the latest, tools in the technology industry to make them, self-reliant, and which you assembled a high-powered, team that, delivered that lecture free of charge. I know ordinarily each person would have been paying up to $200 for that session, and you gave a whole day for that lecture, and we are still very much indebted to you for that. Now, the talk of the town is AI. Where is the world going to be in the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years with AI? And what are the opportunities available for the young ones in the AI world?
So this is what I would say is that everybody would say where they think AI is going, but the truth is we're not too sure. We just know that it's moving rapidly, it's moving quickly. And I know it's difficult for us to imagine a world where there was no calculator. But when the calculator was launched, rumor has it that people protested in the streets that our children will no longer understand mathematics because they won't use the abacus to be able to calculate equations, right? Calculate math equations. Now, not only do we have the calculator, but we have AI tools that can help you put things together. What I would say is this, is that there will be a lot of hype before we all settle into AI, as the case always is. It's the same way with the internet. It's hard to believe that there was a time there were only like 600 websites on the internet. Now everybody has a website. I have a website. Everybody has a website. So the thing, what I would say is, instead of chasing the opportunity for AI, which exists, I think whatever you're seeing in terms of your vision for your life in the next 5 to 10 years, when you're mapping it out, think of the potential outcomes that AI could produce for you. So let me give you an example. If you're a customer success manager, I'm sorry, I'm going into tech, but if you manage support cases for companies, I think it's pretty obvious with AI and bots that skill set is going to change dramatically, not in 5 years, in probably a year or two, and we're already seeing that. So don't be afraid of the change. It's a good way for us to kind of start thinking of other things that that we can do as AI takes over. And then really develop your soft skills, because that is one thing that AI will never be able to replicate. If I tell you to go and build an app, you can go to ChatGPT and you can say, build me the code for an app that does ABCD, and it's going to do it for you, but you won't understand how to compile the code. You're not going to understand how to run the code. You're not going to understand if there's an error in the code, what to look for. These are skills that are still required. But what AI is going to help us do is to get into such a higher skill level that's incredible, right? So you know that as a virtual assistant, your role may possibly change going forward. If you push paper, you know it's going to change going forward. So first thing is look at your life vision. What do you want to really achieve in the next decade? Look at the trends of AI. We already know what it's trending towards, even though we don't know what it looks like. We know robots are coming. I mean, for those of you, I hope you've seen the Optimus robot that Elon Musk launched. Robots are coming and they're going to be a mainstay. That one we know. We don't know how quickly, but we know. So kind of think through that. Then think through the things that AI will never be able to achieve, right? Because the human element is required. How can you start building skills that will meet it? And then how do you elevate your skill sets? So don't be afraid of it. Start playing with AI, start playing with ChatGPT, OpenAI, Zora, there are many of them. As a rule, I test at least one AI tool per week, just to keep my mind fresh, to make sure I understand how the trends are moving. Yeah, so I think that is my response.
All right. You have written a novel, Chosen Sisters. The novel touches on themes of friendship, resilience. What inspired you to explore, these themes through storytelling?
Yeah, so I don't know how many of you have heard this quote. The graveyard is the richest place on earth because so many people die with dreams inside. Yes, so that is one of my guiding quotes. Anything I feel I really, really want to achieve, I achieve. And I wanted to write a novel. Actually, I'm releasing like 4 additional books this year. So ingenuity, I never thought I would be like a serial novelist, but I caught the bug. But this novel is the strangest novel. It's stories of intending couples that I heard over the years that I couldn't wrap my mind around it. So I had to write them down because some of them were so unbelievable. And the sequel is coming out on my birthday this year. So I'll wrap up that series. But yeah, I really wanted to write a book. Happy I wrote it. Now I'm writing some more. Yeah, really, really enjoying the process.
Finally, what legacy do you hope to leave behind, both in the technology industry and through the philanthropy that you are, involved in?
So, not dividing who I am into my different parts, because like you said, tech, philanthropy, author, there are quite a number of things I do. I think what I would like people to say is that I am happy I met Napa because I met her, I was able to do something I didn't think I could do. So whether that's in tech or whether that's in personal life, I just want to be of service in a way that can help somebody unlock greatness in themselves.
Wow. Thank you very much, Napa Onwusah, for being our guest inside the arena today. Quickly, we are going to the next segment, and that is Corner Kick segment. We are not going to waste so much time there. So quickly, if you have a question, you hit the reaction button, raise hand button, and then we unmute you to ask your question. Please keep it short. Yusuf Olatoye. Quickly.
Question. Yeah. Good
Okay,
afternoon,
go
sir.
on. You're muted.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you very much, Ms. Napa, for this great section. So, my question is from engineer Ozis. He pointed that he once brought you on to train some young engineers. So there is this event that's currently looming. That's like the intervention of technology in the construction, architecture, and engineering space is just coming up. So we don't. Well, looking at your profile and where you fit, I think it's going to be good to probably maybe have you on board at this very early stage that the ecosystem is still building up. I don't know if there is a way you could come in, or maybe we could just share what the community has built at the moment. Then maybe you could give some advice going forward.
Yeah, sure. I think Dr. Osi can share my PA's details. Yeah, sure.
Engineer Chris Okonkwo. Can you unmute, please?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Ben. Thank you, Napa Onwusah, my fellow alumnus. Okay, Napa, I want to find out, how do you view entrepreneurship in Africa compared to the West, especially at startup?
That's a very interesting question, right? And yeah, very proud of ISUT. So nice to connect here. It's just so different, you know. The startup ecosystem outside Africa not outside Africa, let me exclude South Africa, because South Africa is very well regulated. I think our Minister of the Digital Economy, Bosun, is trying to really bring a lot of that into our ecosystem, which is regulation. Around funding, around structures, because we don't have that yet. But if you look at the advances we've made in certain areas, they far outstrip other countries, like our advances in fintech, our advances in fashion tech. So our entrepreneurs here in Nigeria, I can't explain the kind of ginger we have, but we are able to do things that are mind-blowing. But what we need is really the support of more experienced businesses to kind of guide the ones that don't have the softer skills, and then also the structures in place. But yeah, I've always preferred our ecosystem just because it's very, very exciting. But when I go to other ecosystems, like if you go to San Francisco, you go to Silicon Valley, you feel the vibe, but you also sense the structure. So very different, but both vibrant in their own ways. Yeah.
All right, we take these last two questions because we have to end it by 4. Bolaji Abioye. Then after that, we take Engineer Fidelis Ejikeme.
All right. Good afternoon again, Napa. Wait, first of all, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes. So I wanted to ask concerning the B4B, built for businesses. I wanted to know if it's like a platform where people like just register, or like they invite you towards helping them solve some particular problems in their businesses, or it's like a platform where people who are starting out with startups join, and then they have a lot of coaching sessions and learning opportunities and build.
Okay.
I wanted to know more, like if there's an opportunity for that here.
Oh yeah,
or,
sure.
just, all of that, yeah. So I was wanted to.
Yeah, sure. I think I can share the link with you. So how we do it is we're actually a pretty open ecosystem. So you don't pay to join or anything like that. We have a session, but I think it has closed, the registration. We're doing with AWS, and it's a revenue and sales session. So we have like money points coming through. We have OPay, we have quite a number of shuttlers coming through to share how they've grown their businesses over time. So we have those kind of sessions. Yeah, so once you join one of our seminars, you kind of start getting our emails from there, and then you can decide what you want to join or what you want to be part of. There is also something called Cafe Napa, which is I do coaching for our community members. So people drop in and they can ask me questions, personal or business related, and it's free as well. So you don't have to pay for that at all. So yeah, maybe what I can do is I can share a link for, let me see if I can find the link actually. I'll just drop it in the chat if I see it. Normally I attend these sessions with someone from my team, but everybody's planning for the event. So let me see if I can drop something so you can get all the content. I hope that answered your question.
Engineer Fidelis Ejikeme. And that's our final question for today.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good day, sir.
I wish to thank Ms. Onwusah. I hope I pronounced the name rightly, Onwusah, for the wonderful lecture. And I also want to thank you very much for the acts of charity and philanthropy that you mentioned earlier. My question actually is probably not part of the topic for which we were invited today, but since we mentioned artificial intelligence, I want to ask, is there really anything that is artificial intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
Because I see the products that are made from or with artificial intelligence as things that are programmed. They cannot think for themselves like I can think for myself. I can conceive something from nothing. But these machines must work in accordance with a determined program. They are told this is how you do this. So is that machine really intelligent? Or is it that it's able to do something faster than anybody can do in accordance with what it has been told to do? It's not even taught. It has been fixed to do these things that way. Can that be called intelligence? Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, when actually calling it artificial intelligence highlights the fact that it's not human. So it is artificial is something that's not real. That's why it's called artificial intelligence. It mimics human intelligence because it can only do what it has been programmed to do, right?
Yes.
So exactly. So that's why we call it artificial intelligence, because it's not human intelligence. But why we are so excited about artificial intelligence in tech is because with large language models, these artificial intelligence tools can do things in ways that can help humans perform tasks better. So I don't know if you've, there's a new one that we are, that's in testing, Sonar. I don't know who remembers it. It's the one by Google that allows you to create videos. I don't know if anybody can remember the line, the name. I'll look for the name and share, but I was very privileged to test it.
Gemini?
No, not Gemini. It actually does videos for you. So you guys are, I'm sure, seeing a lot of deep fake artificial intelligence tools. What it means is now you may not need to actually go to set to create a whole movie. You may not need to go for locations. You can just tell Zora, thank you, Ifunanya is Zora. Zora is a game changer. So what artificial intelligence is just like you program machines to think like human beings, but faster, in a more expansive way, because they're able to look at large volumes of data that are available to them. So there's no such thing as I forgot something. Like Zora now, I completely forgot the name, but Ifunanya reminded me. So artificial intelligence would have picked up the name and put it out there that quickly. So we are very excited about it. I'm just trying to contain myself a bit. But once you put us in a room and we're talking about the possibilities with AI, it's mind-blowing. But where we need to be a bit concerned is whether regulation can match the speed with which artificial intelligence is developing. So we need to be able to put guardrails. There have been very distressing cases of not the best content being created about people with AI or deep fakes. They'll put of a politician, him saying something that he didn't say. So even being on your guard. So one of the things I would encourage us to do in terms of training is do a training on critical thinking and logic, because we're going to need it as we move into the AI era. So you're able to determine whether something is real, artificial, or whether it is fake. You need to be able to know different frameworks to be able to ascertain data, because we're getting into that stage. And I see it happen a lot. People share a video and then immediately it goes viral. It's because people do not have the tools to critically think and analyze data. Yeah, so that's it. Used in heist, yes, Nena. That's what it was used in. Can you imagine? That means all of us here could be movie producers. Suddenly, there's going to be so much content that's going to be available out there. So, critical reasoning, logic, being able to understand how data is created, being able to test AI tools, understand the vulnerabilities. There are quite a number of skills we need to arm ourselves with, and it's not just about AI, it's also soft skills.
Wow. There are a lot to talk about artificial intelligence, and there are a lot to talk about the tech world. And if we leave Napa here, we are going to shoot beyond her time. I know this is a precious 1 hour she has given to us, and we've even exceeded that. Napa, I want to say a very big thank you to you for giving us your time today and for coming to share, give us some insights about yourself and what you do. Now we are going to go to the final lap. It's not going to take us 1 minute. And that's where we put the participants also on the hot seat. I said one participant will be going home with a very fantastic prize. And that is the sum of 50,000 naira, courtesy of Anonymous. So once you win the prize, you send your account to me. We are going to credit you immediately. Once you hear go, you send. What is the full meaning of AWS? Go. Okay. I have seen the answers coming in. While we are waiting for more to come in, we go back to Napa. Napa, what is the correct answer?
I think everybody got it right, but
what is the correct answer?
Amazon Web Services. That's the correct answer. Everybody got it right.
Amazon Web Services. Now,
yeah.
the first to get the answer from your end is who? From my own end, I'm seeing Sean Energy. Is that what you have?
Yes, it's Sean.
Mr. Sean, please, can you show us your face so that I know whether we know you? And show us your video, please. We want to see your face. We want to be sure we are not dealing with AI. Sean.
Yes, I'm here.
And show us your video, please. We want to see your face. In this world of AI, we want to make sure we are not dealing
I was removing my AI filter.
Can we see your face?
Okay.
Is it AI that answered the question? Oh.
Yeah.
That's a familiar face. Congratulations, you have won the sum of 50,000 naira. So I believe that can put some liters of petrol in your car. And
thank you.
We want to say a very big thank you to all our participants for today. And we want to say a very big thank you to Napa for being our guest. And by God's grace, next month, we are going to be inside the arena again for the 38th edition. Thank you. This is the very first one for the year. It's going to be a wonderful year. We're kicking off with a woman. I think the next one is also a woman. So maybe this year may be a year of women. Let's see as it goes. Thank you, and a very big thank you to all of you. And I wish you a very prosperous new year and filled with joy, God's blessings, and see you again next time. My name remains Engineer Ben O.C. Oko, and I'm your host. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.